You're here, you've started the log, and you've noticed while you're watching the data stream, you're seeing the patterns. But watching the patterns is not enough. Watching the car crash in slow motion doesn't stop the crash, does it? Today, we're stopping the crash. We're discussing the most critical mechanic in the deprogramming process. I call it the 5-second lag. Let's look at the biological hardware, the system, the matrix of societal programming, the lack code. Limited beliefs rely on one thing to survive: speed. It relies on you reacting faster than you can think. It relies on the persona hijacking the controls before the architect can even wake up. Think about think about your day. Someone cuts you off in traffic. What happens? Instant anger. Your spouse says, that one tone of voice, that one little smirk, whatever. What happens? Instant defense. You look at the bank account, at your bank account. What happens? Instant contraction. Instant contraction. Fear. That is not you. That is the machinery. Okay? That is the stimulus response loop that was coded into your biological hardware years ago. The system works on a simple algorithm: trigger, reaction. There is no gap. There is no space. There is no choice. You are simply a biological robot executing a script called anger, or poverty, or victim. As long as the loop is closed, you, my friend, are asleep. You are a battery powering the system. But there's a flaw in this system. There's a back door in the code between the trigger, what happens to you, and the reaction, what you do. There is a microscopic gap, a tiny sliver of silence. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the darkest depths of the system's cruelty, said this: between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. That space, my friend, is the 5-second lag. Most people spend their entire lives missing the space. They gloss over it. They let the chemical rush of emotion bridge the gap instantly. Our job in this lesson is to take that millisecond gap and pry it open with a crowbar. We're going to widen that space until it becomes a sanctuary. Because inside that 5-second window is the only space the architect exists. Outside the window, you are just a ghost in the machine. Inside the window, you are the creator. Okay, let's get technical here. I told you I have the science to back this up. We're not guessing here. We're not guessing. We're engineering, okay? When a trigger hits you, let's say a stressful email, your body receives a signal. The amygdala, the primitive sensory of the biohardware, lights up. It screams threat. It doesn't give a shit if the threat is a saber-toothed tiger or an unpaid bill. It treats them both the same. It dumps cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. Here's the physics of the trap. These chemicals are the glue of the persona. When that chemical rush hits your brain, it shuts down the frontal lobe, the seat of the architect, the visionary, the conscious creator. Why? Because the system is designed for survival, not creation. When you are in survival mode, You don't need to be an architect. You need to be a reactor. So the system steals your blood flow, it steals your energy, it routes everything to the primitive hard drive, and in that moment, you recite the past. You repeat the old program, you literally become the past itself. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this. The body becoming the mind. The body craves the chemical addiction of the emotion. Even if you hate feeling anxiety, the bio hardware is addicted to the rush of anxiety because it is familiar. It is the known. The system loves the known. System hates the unknown. The 5 second lag is the interrupt of that chemical dump. It takes approximately 90 seconds for a chemical emotion to, to flush through your body if you don't refuel it with a story. But the critical moment, the fork is in the road, what happens in the 5 seconds? If you catch it in the first 5 seconds, you can stop the program from loading. If you miss that window, the train has left the station and you are just a passenger until the mood runs out. We are here to stop the train. How do we do it? How do we find this gap? Well, when everything is in our biology is screaming to close it, we use a pattern interrupt. We have to manually insert a wedge into the gears. Here's the protocol. Okay, it's simple. But do not mistake simple for easy. The system will fight you. It will fight you on this every time. Every single time. The alert. You feel a trigger. The chest tightens. The heat rises in the neck. The thought pops, start spinning. Instead of saying, I am angry, you switch to the observer. You say, I'm detecting a frequency leak. Or simply, data stream detected. You decouple your identity from the feeling. You are no longer the anger. You are the one noticing the anger. The 5 second countdown. This is the mechanical break. When the trigger hits, you do not speak. You do not move. You do not type. You count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why backwards? Because counting upwards is automatic. You can count to 10 when you sleep. Counting backwards requires the prefrontal cortex to engage. It forces the architect part of the brain to turn back on. It diverts the energy from the amygdala, the persona, back to the executive center, the architect. The void, when you hit one, you are now in the void. The old program has been paused. The new program hasn't started yet. This is the lab. In this silence, you ask one question. What would the architect do? Or is this reaction part of my original blueprint? Or is this lack code? This takes courage. Because when you stop the reaction, you will feel naked. The persona uses reactions as armor. Without your anger, without your victimhood, who are you? You are about to find out. Let's walk through a simulation here. You're trying to build your business. You're trying to launch your course. You sit down to work. Suddenly, fear pops in like, who am I to do this? Nobody will buy it. Nobody's buying this. I'm going to fail just like last time, just like the last thing I did. That is the ghost in the machine, my friend. That is the persona protecting you from the unknown. Without the lag, you believe the thoughts. You get up, you go to the fridge, you scroll social media, you numb out. The system wins. You lost the day of creation. With the lag, the fear hits. You feel the contraction in your stomach, in your gut. You stop. 5. I see you. I see you, fear. 4. I am not this sensation. 3. My bio hardware is just running a protection script. 2. I am the architect of my reality. 1. I choose to stay at this desk. Do you see the difference? The scenario A, you're a victim of the past. In scenario B, you are the creator of your future. The 3D reality didn't change. The circumstance didn't change. The observer changed. And because the observer changed, the timeline collapsed. You shifted from the failure timeline to the success timeline in 5 seconds, my friend. This is quantum mechanics. This is not positive thinking. This is steering the ship. The system is persistent. It will try to convince you that you don't have time to pause. I have to answer. I have to answer this phone now. I have to defend myself now. That is the lie. Urgency is the language of the persona. Stillness is the language of the architect. Nothing requires your immediate attention except a physical threat to your life. Everything else can wait 5 seconds. Your assignment for the next 24 hours, your only job is to hunt for that lag. I want you to catch yourself in the middle of a reaction. I don't even care if you succeed in stopping it. I want you to see it. I want you to catch your hand reaching for the phone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to catch your mouth about to complain. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to catch your mind drifting into lack. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Log these moments, write them down. Trigger X, reaction prevented or triggered. Y, reaction happened, but I saw it. Every time you engage the 5 second lag, you are reclaiming territory. You are pulling energy out of the system and putting it back into the blueprint. This is the work. This is not glamorous. It is repetitive. It is mechanical. But this is how you build the muscle. You cannot hold the high frequency of an architect of the ancient knowledge if you cannot hold your tongue for 5 seconds. You cannot channel the divine if you're leaking energy into petty frustrations. Seal the leaks, master the lag, unleash the architect. I'll see you in the next lesson. Anchor mapping. We're going to find out exactly where those hooks are buried.